And hello, and welcome to AleksConnects Creative Sandbox. My name is Alex, and let's continue our Fanart projecto and Angry Birds vs Transformers. So, yeah. Previously on Lost. No. So previously let's just quick recap. So we are still working on this illustration. The whole point of this illustration is just basically, this is a fun art illustration where I just want to experiment with two different styles and putting them together. So we're having a Transformers and we're having Angry Birds, completely two different worlds, depicting these two worlds in their original state and like mashing them together. It's pretty cool idea. So thanks for the DeviantArt mashup challenge that already kind of ended probably a couple of weeks ago. I'm still working on this project. Of course I didn't met deadline necessarily. So yeah, and the whole reason was to just experiment, test new things and whatever. So yeah, this is what we did previously throughout the previous session. Probably the last 12 sessions were completely focused on 3D side of this project. Again, the only reason why we are gone into 3D is to get better knowledge of these 3D forms in 2D space before I'm going to draw them. So yeah, today's session is going to be pretty short, so I guess without further ado, let's just dive into work right away and let's finish the things that I didn't manage to finish before. So in previous session mostly I worked on this part. I kind of established the general shapes for the fingers to make them a little bit more realistically looking. So I will continue to do that in this session. Let's just go through the fingers again and see if they're looking close enough to the human form. Again, we could allow ourselves to go outside of the human form because again this is an alien form, but still the closer they will look to the human form, the more dynamic they're going to have, and for the viewers these things are going to be more readable because again when we are working with something familiar, it's always more relatable than something completely unfamiliar. So by adding this familiarity to completely unfamiliar form, we definitely could achieve the desirable results. So yeah, again, slightly shaping up, slightly finishing it. Again, I'm almost at the finish of this sculpture. I actually hope that I will definitely finish it on this week. I think that's without a doubt it's going to be the case, because again I kind of spent too much time on this already, and we definitely need to go back into the drawing and actually work with actual painting, working with lights, with values, colors, materials, and etc. So all these things are necessary now. I already spent a lot of time doing this thing. Now, I think I already get enough information how to draw this completely, how to draw this complex form in 2D, but still there are some things that I actually want to explore more, because this design is not any way finished design. It still needs to be finished properly. I still need to think what I'm going to do in here, because with eyes I figured it out that sorry about that. Yeah, I kind of figured out that I completely forgot about eyes. So we definitely need to put something in here, and we definitely need to understand how it's going to look, because for now this is not alive. It doesn't look alive at all, because it doesn't have eyes. So we definitely need to put eyes to this design, in this design, and make this a little bit more, I'd say, close to reality. So yeah, I will continue to shape these fingers, make them a little bit better in shape. There's a lot of things here that needs to be readdressed, I guess. So because this session is going to be pretty short, I think I hope I will finish with the hand at least till the end of the session, because I definitely want to do this. Finish with the hand. Making things a little bit more dynamic, close to reality. Yeah, we don't need these designs, let's just get rid of them for them to not destruct. And yeah, the thing, I still like how this thing looks. Again, these things are added specifically for the sake of movement, so they are suggesting that they could move. So for instance, if one finger is going to be lifted up, this thing is going to be lifted up with this finger. So basically these things need to be separate for to ensure the proper movement and flexibility in movement. This thing, I kind of like how it looks. Again, it repeats the design that we did in here, so in here, shoulders a bit. So this is a good thing. We stayed in our design frames. So every project has to have design language, and for me this thing is like, at least I'm looking at it as a design language. So this element is the specific word in the language that I'm constantly using, or specific phrase, specific phrase that used constantly throughout the work, slightly changed in its meaning, but still remains like united or as one. Okay, I kind of like how these fingers are looking from almost every angle. They're still too thick here and there, but again, since this is a transformer, we could allow ourselves this one. We don't need to make these fingers too thick. I think I will stick to the the only thing that I'm going to do is just to create here some type of a to ensure this dynamic better. Also, inner side of the finger, no, outer side of the finger needs to be a little bit smaller. Or flatter. Because fingers are not completely symmetric. They have a little bit asymmetry to them, which makes them look more dynamic. I still don't know what's going to be at the end of each finger, so should I place some type of like a claw or some type of spikes? This is still a thing that I didn't decide. And since this hand is going to interact with the sword, I think I'm not going to put too many things that will make the gesture of holding sword too strange. Because again, if this transformer is going to have some type of clause. It's just going to just like restrict movement and make movement less appealing, especially when we're talking about holding your specific objects in hand. Yeah, for now I'm going to explore these strange things in here. They need to be added here for the sake of design, so I'm not necessarily understand what they are. Let's consider them something like knuckles, but they of course not in the place where knuckles usually placed. Knuckles usually placed in here, but they still could serve a particular purpose. For instance, to like an, I don't know, special weapon, close-up fights, in the close-up fights. Still don't know how I'm going to connect it with the sides. Let's just explore and see what's going to work, what's not. As simple as that. Exploring. I definitely want to explore more because, again, I previously talked about this, and one of my biggest problems was the fact that I gone too far from exploring. So basically, in a particular period of my creative experience, I just basically started to discard explorational stages from my process because, I don't know, I didn't felt that these phases were helpful because I didn't had at that time enough knowledge, or basically knowledge was the problem, I guess. I didn't had enough knowledge to work with exploration, and for me, I didn't want to how do you properly say it in English? Yeah, to be too dependent on exploration. So for me, control was a pretty important thing, and if I didn't have control, I had to find a way to control things, and that's why I kind of decided, no, exploration doesn't work for me. I'm not going to work with it at all, and I'm going to solve all problems controllable way. But then I kind of started to slowly figure it out. Oh no, exploration is a pretty important part of the process. You can't disregard it, because these so-called happy accidents are pretty important. They could make your work fresh, add a soul to it, and not everything is calculated. Still need to give your work a little bit of freedom to breathe. Basically, work needs to create itself. You can't control everything. And before that, I was closed. Just basically, I shut down this door and I wouldn't let it open. And now I'm more free to this, and actually it's awesome when happy accidents happened, and it's much more cooler when it happens when you are actually controlling most of the process. So you controlling most of the steps of your process, and then some happy accidents happened, and now you can control within these happy accidents, which is awesome. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah, again, English, it's not my native language, I'm going to do my best and trying to make sense of things that I'm talking about, but sometimes it could be confusing. Sorry for that in advance. No? No. Yeah, I don't know about these so-called knuckles. I think I need to actually separate them, but I want to separate them in interesting way. I don't want to just like do this. It's not going to look pretty good. Let's instead do something like this and actually make them transition into a second thing in here, which would be a much more cooler looking thing. Yes, definitely it works. Cool. La 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 la. Still a question how it's going to transition in here. Maybe it needs to transition. We still need to give it time to for actually like flexibility to bend this thing. So that means that it definitely needs to be separated. Where exactly? How deep the separation is going to be? Yeah, pretty cool. Oh, snap. And the question is, should I need to put something like this in here? No, I think we're not going to do that. Let's just save. So yeah, let's just repeat the same process for every finger. I'm not going to create anything in here, but I'm still want to create a specific shape, hard surface shape for this finger. Since it's not a human form, we definitely need to create something like this, like some type of subdivision that will make this finger look more alien. Definitely something like this needs to be added. Just make it gradually transition in here. Gradually transition. Slight addition to this one. Creates pretty interesting design. At least I like how it looks. And the same thing we need to create in here, but we need to suggest something closer to the fingernail. Oh, by the way, let's make things a little bit. Symmetric, because right now it's pretty asymmetric. Okay. What else we would need in here? Let's add something like this. and then something like this. Let's try something like this one here. It doesn't look that much. It actually suggests the like skeleton structure. It's pretty close to the skeleton look of the fingers, which could actually make this form a little bit look more organic, which is a good thing for us again. The more organic form we will get, the cooler it's going to look. And also the cool thing is, like, we have like organic form on top of non-organic. It's usually pretty interesting contrast, although it's not the case for this one. I guess we have pretty organically looking finger, and we have something that actually skeleton usually doesn't appear organic at all in terms of like look. It doesn't feel alive to us, so psychologically I think this is the opposite. Non-organic form on top of an organic one. The only thing that I need to explore is to extend this thing further. Let's see how it's going to look. Okay, we got lost. It's pretty uneven. Put it in place. This actually could work. Yeah, I think I will give it, because this actually makes the fingers more dangerous. They don't need to be soft. They need to have some type of sharpness to them. Again, I'm probably not going to have enough resolution to actually depict this sharpness, but now I know that right here is something sharp, and this is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I'm not going to do anything much in the inner side of the hand, because we're not going to see it at all, first, and second, I think it's not going to be appropriate at all. On this side it actually looks pretty strange. Okay, let's just make it a little bit more appealing. Something wrong about it. Nope. Maybe, I don't know. Huh. Does it look appropriate or not? I could continue this line though, right? So this way we could probably separate fingers, but I don't know. Looks like cool from one side. At least it adds a little bit of a texture to this one, so maybe I will actually keep it, but let's just make it a little bit better, because this line definitely needs to be a little bit more curvier. Exactly like this. By adding this thing, kind of makes this design look more tech-like. And since this is a transformer, I guess we definitely need this. Okay, cool. So now I just need to repeat the same design that I did with right here for every of these last 3 fingers, and probably for the thumb too. But again, thumb is pretty big. I already talked about this. It looks too big for some reason, but at the same time, and again, if I will make it smaller, it could ruin the feel. So I probably will keep it big. Okay, so let's just repeat the same design for every finger. I think I like how it looks. There's no point of adding these details. After I will Dynamesh, they are going to be lost. Because again, we're working with, for this particular part, resolution is too low. We need to actually make it like higher. But still suggesting these knuckles, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let's just repeat the same design for every part of the hand. Not hand, but yeah, finger. The cool thing is, when this hand, or when fingers are going to be depicted in motion, it's definitely going to be pretty interesting looking design. So it works with the movement. It doesn't restrict movement at all. It actually will make this movement more dynamic, I guess. Or at least I think so. Hope that it's going to be the case. So yeah, let's just repeat the same design throughout each finger. Each finger. Yeah, nothing to talk about. I'm just going to repeat myself throughout the design, I guess. And in order to manage to finish in the remaining time, I think I need to just focus on this thing. Because again, the faster we will finish this 3D stage, faster we will go into finally 2D stage, which I'm anxious about for about probably a couple of weeks already. I want to get into 2D, work with lighting, values, colors, materials. It's going to be pretty cool. Save. Let's just save. Okay. Let's continue to push this form. So the problem here is we don't have that much place in here. I think I need to connect this one with this one and create additional line in here. Again, using standard brushes, nothing fancy. Them standard to create these creases or so-called valleys. The same for creating a hard edge, just basically reversed them standard. With holding an Alt key. For some reason, when you are working with design first, it's a little bit faster, and when you're trying to repeat design, it's much longer because now you have the example that you need to follow, and your brain works a little bit differently when you're working with something existing opposing to working with something that you created for the first time from your imagination. So this is kind of thing I guess you need to adjust to. Okay, kind of works. Again, by adding this element of design, it's pretty close to the human skeleton, and that way it makes this look more human-like. Although it's Transformer and it's pretty far from the human, but still. We have enough information to work with. I know. Again, I'm going out of the motion, so it's getting a little bit jiggity. I need to continue the flow. Oh, wait a minute. Dumb standard. Increase the crease. Increase the crease. I still need to think how I'm going to create in illustration parts of the broken transformers or destroyed transformers. Of course, creating this transformer in 3D will definitely help me to break down in particular parts and place them in the garbage piles with the transformers parts, but it's still going to be a pretty hard thing to do because I need to redesign them a little bit, because not every statue is going to be the same looking as this one. We have like 6 statues 3 separate heads for the transformers that needs to look differently, and in addition to that we have a bunch of parts from these different heads in the garbage piles. So this is definitely going to be a pretty hard thing to do, but again, this is why this is a challenge. I think I need to Dynamesh to apply this. Then continue. Exactly that. We could always smooth out later. As long as the basic shape depicted, it's more than enough. There's still a lot of problems here. It's pretty uneven. Everything looks asymmetrical. But again, I'm going to redraw this either way, so I will make it right in drawing. For understanding 3D shape or 3D construction and form of this complex subject, it's more than enough information, I think. Although part of me wants to add more details and actually finish this sculpt completely, but we're ready to spend too much time on it, which was kind of unnecessary, I would say. Because when you're creating something like this, you kind of getting addicted to the process, and it's pretty hard to stop. That's why you need to know where to take a break and actually stop. Okay, let's just continue to create these wedges. What? Nope. Yeah, right here it actually a little bit curved. Let's just suggest this curvature because this curvature is pretty important for the dynamic. Although it's small details which seem pretty like not important at all, but it actually could add dynamic. So like when I'm talking about dynamic, I'm talking about different stages of adding dynamic. You first, when you start working on something, you're creating a dynamic through the gesture, through the basic shape, how it works, how it looks, the overall feel of this shape. Usually it's posed, but since I'm now working with static, I created dynamic a little bit differently. It's just basically was silhouette, unequal division of design, and bunch of like theoretical stuff put into it to create static creature or static character in dynamic position. But usually when you're working with poses, then of course you will work with dynamic through the gesture, through the motion, action lines, and all these awesome things. And the second way of working with dynamic, so the first one is working with the base. So when you're just only beginning to work on your drawing or sculpting, you need to establish the basic dynamic. Usually, again, for drawing, it's just the basic gesture, action lines. For sculpting, basic shape needs to work or needs to look as dynamic as possible. So you need to picture this 3D shape and sculpting pretty close to what you imagine it in your head. It's a pretty hard thing to do if you don't have that much experience. It was hard for me. So, because I don't have that much experience. So, the second way is to add in details, and so what I'm doing now is by adding details, like small details, I'm actually pushing this dynamic more, and the things that weren't necessarily looked dynamically before. So yeah, let's just rephrase it. I completely messed up this phrase. So the things that weren't dynamic before, now by adding details could look more dynamic, because I added these details. Oh, come on. I changed the brush. Oh, God. Damn sender. And it's still in theory. I think with time, with experience, I will figure out how to explain it better. For now, it's just a feeling. Like I feel that this thing works. That's, yeah, you need to work on dynamic on almost all stages of creating your project, because it's pretty easy to lose gesture that you depicted at the beginning when you are going through detailization stages. That's why you need to think about putting details or putting dynamic even on detailed stages too, because you could easily lose this dynamic. And again, when I'm talking about dynamic, is usually I referring to overall look. So how lines are transitioning, how things are, basically I'm talking about the flow of each design element, how they are transitioning into each other. This transitioning has to work without separations. They need to flow. So like you're seeing you're looking at something and you are continuously going with the flow of it. So there's no separations, so you always have a path for your eye to follow. That's what I'm talking about, like the dynamic and flow. So yeah, it's a pretty hard thing though to control. If you know how design works, like if you know the basics of design, it usually helps. Like the elements of design, what else design has there? I forgot. Yeah, so design is actually a powerful thing to learn. Most of the artists actually disregarding design because they don't think that the design thing actually applies to the creating art, but oh, they are so applied that it's crazy. Usually design is taught through the composition, so slightly there are some books that actually like teaching you design, but they are not focusing on the design aspect. They actually call it compositional rules or suggestions, and design is actually like it's tied with composition. They are not separate, especially for the like illustrators or character designers. These things are not separate. When you work with design, you're basically working with composition. When you're working with composition, you need to think about design. They could separate, but it's better if in your mind you seeing them as one, because you can avoid a lot of confusion going into understanding the theory. Yeah, the first repetition was pretty hard, but the second one is a little bit easier, and now I actually can talk while doing this, which is still a pretty hard thing to do. It's one of the things that I want to learn how to do, is to work on something and talk at the same time, and actually make sense of what I'm talking about. With time, I hope I will manage to do this better and better. Oh, snap, I forgot about super awesome important thing. Yeah, we need to create this second line in here. So yeah, in the future projects I'm going to touch upon all these things a little bit more details. So for now, I'm only testing all these things out, how they work, and not everything is like practically applied. So it could work in theory, but in practice it could vary. So that's why I don't want to state anything in terms of finished thing. It still needs exploration, tests, a bunch of other things to work. But it's all revolves around like the fundamentals. So the key, what I'm usually focusing on, is fundamentals. As they say, you need to learn fundamentals to be comfortable in creating art. The rest is just experience. I don't know if it's actually how it says. Maybe I just made up this phrase, who knows? Either way. Okay, dynamic. Oh, I was messing up dynamic in this place because finger is slightly different in here. We need to continue this path. It needs to be... Oh, snap. I messed up dynamic a little bit. Repeating. Okay. This is actually pretty cool. Like, even from far, kind of like how this one looks. The cool thing is that these elements in the fingers actually work with our design language. So if we actually look up on different parts of our designs throughout the whole body, we can see similar elements, which kind of makes it more united. We're adding more unity to it. It doesn't seem foreign in here. Kind of looks like it needs to be here. Also, the question is, should I need the second line? Should I add second line somewhere in here? No, actually, real fingers don't have second line in here. We have two lines only in these places. Because fingers in these places are more flexible. Okay, what I forgot here, I definitely forgot something. Yes, to add this separation. I know, when you're working with sculpting, it's so peaceful. I don't know, it's super calming. Usually when I'm working with drawing, like when I draw something, I'm not calm at all. I don't relax. I usually super tense. But when I'm working with sculpting, I actually kind of, I don't know, chilling. For some reason, it's get you relaxed. Maybe it's just the way sculpting works for me. Maybe this is because I'm putting too much pressure on myself when I'm working with drawing, and I don't need to put this pressure when I'm working in sculpting. Because sculpture, it's not my final product. This is just in between stage that allows me to understand 3D form better. But when I'm working with drawing, I'm putting too much pressure on myself because I know that it needs to be the final results, and it adds more stress. And at the end seems less fun. I guess it's time to save. It's time to save. Yeah, I don't know, we're pretty close to the end. I think I will extend the stream probably in about an half hour because I want to finish this designs. Because after I will finish hand, I need to revisit the whole sculpt and see what I missed, and add specific things. Again, already said before, we need to add eyes to make this transformer actually look alive, because for now this is just like a shell. Looks like a shell. We need to design eyes, and we need to definitely go through references, see how the eyes of the transformers are actually look like. So this is definitely going to be something to address. Oh no, I lost pressure sensitivity again. So again, if you losing pressure sensitivity, usually it's because getting out of the ZBrush, or for instance saving, you need to minimize it and maximize it again. By the way, this is the illustration that we're working with, or at least future illustration. Angry birds attending a tea party on Cybertron. They gone through war against Transformers, and now they are throwing a tea party as the celebration for their win. So we definitely need to readdress all these elements. Should make them look a little bit better. Add eyes in here. Figure out how I'm going to add these eyes. And also, head is not detailed at all because at that time I didn't know how to create hard surface things. Now I know that the only thing that we need to do is just add this one, and it kind of completely changes everything. The reverse damp standard brush. So yeah, I hope I will, I'm not going to end this session until I finish the hand, because I definitely want to finish the hand. Okay, we left with the little finger, not from Game of Thrones, just little finger. And we from France. Yeah, let's just continue. Shape of this finger pretty strange. It's a little bit out of shape. By the way, did we get back? Yeah, we get back the pressure sensitivity. Bang. Oh no, I kind of forgot to make this one go inside in here. This is the most important thing for the dynamics of the fingers, is to properly depict there. Phalanges. So yeah, wait a sec. Need to check one thing here. Yeah, continue. Continue. Yeah. This is going to be a hard thing to do. So right here, I guess we will create additional... Oh, come on. We have too many things in here. Oh. Ideally, I would hide the sculpture. For now, I'm actually going to work with the inside, so let's just hide everything that we don't need. Control Alt and drag. And now we have more freedom in here. Although with this type of thing we can't dynamesh. But after we will bring it back, we can dynamesh again, of course. So just create transition in here. Yeah, this little finger is super big. But again, this is transformer. We could go with this. Pretty far from reality, but transformers are not humans. Human form. Okay. Definitely need to. So again, the less resolution we have, the less, or yeah, the smaller resolution we have, the less details we could put in, kind of logically. But I don't think that I am going to make the resolution bigger or higher. So I started this sculpt with 128 resolution, and now I'm on 1016. Ideally, if I would work on this sculpt like till the end, till complete finish, I would probably gone with probably 5 million polygons. So right now we have more than 1 million, and if I will get to 2000 resolution plus, it will probably create at least 4 million polygons, I think. Close to 5 million maybe. And this is the cool thing about ZBrush. It's, even if your system is pretty weak, you still can work with a big amount of polygons or points, big resolutions. Probably streaming this would be definitely a problem. You would stream with lags, I guess, but just like sculpting, it's fine. ZBrush uses awesome algorithms actually to calculate all these things. That makes this program like the only program that works with sculpting in super optimized way. Although I can't state this 100% because I work only with Blender sculpting, which is pretty badly optimized and it's pretty laggy. When you get into 1 million polygons, it's just, or dots, or points, it starts to lag like crazy, and program you constantly freezing. Maybe this is because ZBrush is first and foremost is a sculpting program and then modeling program, because they added ZModeler only a couple of versions ago. So modeling is pretty new to ZBrush still. Yeah, let's just extend stream in terms of a timer. Let's put 30 minutes plus. Yep. If I'm not going to manage, of course, in 30 minutes, I will extend it to 2 hours. But I think it's not going to be longer than 2 hours stream, because you're gonna need a lot of things to do beside this project. Okay, let's just, yeah, and I kind of started to slow things down for some reason. Maybe I'm just a little bit tired. Maybe, I don't know. It's always awesome when you actually like not panicking and solving problems intuitively. This is one of the reasons why I'm using sculpting instead of drawing this, because it's less stressful. And you're still solving the same problems that you would encounter in 2D, but it's just more intuitive way of doing so. You now see in 3D form in front of your eyes. You can rotate it. You can understand where this form is subtracted, where this form is added. And the only way to do this in 2D is painting. But again, you need to be good and understanding 3D form in order to do that. And I think by working with sculpting, I definitely will be a better painter. Which is because I'm seeing sculpting as a painting. I'm basically painting. I'm creating shadows in here by putting darker shades of gray right here, lighter shades of gray. And the parallel with sculpting is just basically subtracting into dark and adding into light. So if you're subtracting something, you create a hole and it creates dark, usually because there's a shadow. And if you're adding, of course, it usually goes to light, because now form is just basically popping out of the shape. I know. So yeah, let's continue this ready to do itness. Yeah, I guess I will use a clay here. Clay build-up. And still, my brain is like, I still don't answer all questions in terms of like how I'm going to use ZBrush and how actually often I'm going to use it. So for instance, ideally I would want to place in ZBrush every complex object or subject that I'm struggling with. Also, I forget to add elements in here. Yeah, so because we need to understand that if we are going to sculpt something for the sake of creating a reference for us, we will spend a lot of time doing this. So for instance, I already spent on this sculpt probably more than 24 hours. It's probably 26th or 27th hour already. So, and you have to understand that are you willing to put that much amount of time to the sculpt, or you don't have this time? If you don't have this time, of course, probably using a sculpture is not a very good choice, because it will be beneficial, I guess, in terms of learning, but it will take more time than just drawing it. Because again, when you're drawing it, you need to consider only one particular angle in which this subject is depicted. And when you're sculpting it, you need to think about all possible angles. Like all, not just front view, side view and back view, and top view and bottom view. You need to think about every 3/4 view in between these angles. So kind of makes things a little bit harder to do. But at the same time, by doing this, you will learn more, because now you're actually trying to understand this. Oh, come on. It looks wrong each time. Now you actually will understand this object or subject better, because you have the example of this subject in 3D space. When opposed to drawing, you don't have that. You only have like a couple of views that you worked with, and it's kind of a little bit limiting. But again, when you don't have time on this, of course, use drawing, probably, or at least I would use drawing. And again, every person is different. Something could work for you, and that doesn't work for me. The same applies for everyone. That's why you need to understand how your brain works, what's easier for you, what's harder for you. Not just like listen what other artists tell you to do or your teachers tell you to do. Find your own way. Try what they're suggesting, I guess, because you still need to understand somehow, but not just do whatever they tell you to do. Find your own ways. This is the way that I actually learned everything that I know. I wouldn't just listen what like people told me. I listened, I took it to consideration, but then I did it my own way. And of course it makes you a little bit like I don't know, sometimes antisocial, because no one likes when you go against the current. Oh yeah, as I said before, Dynamesh doesn't work, so we need to put this one in full visibility in order to apply Dynamesh. Because like I'm applying Dynamesh and nothing happens, and mesh must be fully visible in order to Dynamesh. So yeah, find your own way, find your own path. As I like to say, don't try to like, so now I need to actually properly put it in English. Okay, let's see. Don't try to take an existing path, instead create your own. Because of course, if you want to succeed fast, then take the path that already been taken, because you're still going to like walk this path differently, because we're different people, we're making different decisions, we have different possibilities, we are in different like situations and whatever, so it's still going to be a little bit different. Not a little bit, but different. It all depends on if this path that you want to take is working for you. Don't take a path just for the sake of taking it because it's easy. Wait a minute, I've probably gone too far in talking about things. In terms of like, what path? What do you mean? I don't get what you're talking about. Yeah, it doesn't look very good though. Probably because of this thing, kind of a little bit messed up. I'm talking about artistic path, I'm talking about life path. what do you decide? What do you decide to do in your life, and who you want to become? These decisions need to go not from someone else, but from you. Oh no, we actually get a little bit of artifact in here. Sometimes it happens. Okay, cool. Now I kind of finished the all regular fingers. Now we're going into the most annoying finger from all. A thumb. I hate it. So like, it's so challenging for me usually to work with. It moves strangely. It looks strange, and from all points, thumb is one of the fingers that still gives me a lot of problems when I'm working with them. Oh, actually, getting back, this thing needs to go inside. This will actually make this finger not that big. So before that I thought that it's too big comparing to these 4 fingers, and it still looks pretty big, but again, we could allow ourselves that because this is a transformer. The bigger fingers or paw or thumb is the more power of holding a particular object this transformers has, because usually thumb is allow you to take a big like, I don't know, tighter grasp or make hold a little bit tighter. Yeah, I think it's time to, since we are actually worked on this part, we don't going to readdress it anymore, at least for now. Maybe I will still readdress this part a little bit later. Maybe even add something in here. But for now I kind of like how it looks. One thing that I like a little bit of proud of myself, a little bit of a pride and bragging, that I actually did this hand without any references, which is pretty cool. So I can like how it looks, considering the fact that I didn't have references in front of me. The only thing that I had is my own hand, but I didn't look at it because I need right hand to look at, and I'm usually drawing with the right hand, so it's not very super easy thing to do. So yeah, let's just get rid of the selection. Now apply the animesh, see what it's going to bring. A lot of changes. Probably going to lose some of details. We need to readdress. Yeah, and most of my artistic journey I actually disregarded the fact that I need to work with references. That was the biggest mistake ever, because I know some artists are going through these stages that they are either disregarding references because, like, I don't know, simply because they want to, I don't know, but references are super important. You can't learn unless you draw from references. Because you don't have this information in your imagination. And you need to put this into your mind in order to manipulate it. That's why probably some artists are having so much experience that they don't need references, because they already drawn this a million times. They already studied this particular subject so much that it's just inside of their imagination, and they could operate it and manipulate it whatever they want. But still, when they're working with something unfamiliar, I think they still will struggle, because you can't know anything, or no, you can't know everything. Yeah, this is the proper way to say it. There's always something to learn, something that you didn't saw before. Which makes the whole process of learning never-ending process. Which is one of the coolest things that I like about art. It's not like just you going through the some type of college or the school, whatever, and now you know everything. No, with art is you're going through school or college, you're getting a particular education in fundamentals, but then after this it's just the beginning, because now you need to learn so many things that the whole world is open to you, and it's frightening as hell, but at the same time it's so inspiring. Dynamesh, save, and let's just finally finish with the hand. I don't think that I will manage to finish in 10 minutes, but let's see, maybe I will. And also, I'm not sure that I want to create the same design as here, because we actually have a little bit different thing in here, so I could a little bit make shift to this design and make it a little bit different. Just kind of an interesting thing could be. Yeah, I don't think that I need to completely... I lost pressure sensitivity again. And I gained it back. Hope, at least. And also this thing is constantly breaking. It's super uncomfortable to work with the thumb, because it's so not straight. It's super curvy. It looks like it's broken, and it's super hard to work on the thumb. I think you need to go through a million thumbs of drawing or sculpting million thumbs to get comfortable with them. They're super uncomfortable to draw and sculpt. Oh, come on. Now I actually lost the flow, because the flow is actually... Maybe I'm not. Maybe it should be. Nope, I lost the flow. I need to reposition this thing a little bit to the left. By the way, this one works fine, but this is definitely broken. Let's reposition it a little bit. There. But yeah, continuing to talking about references. So yeah, references is different. References are something that I discarded or disregarded throughout the almost all my artistic experience, and it didn't lead me to anything. So there's like millions of bad drawings and that's it, and lots of frustrations and frustrations and frustrations, because you can't draw from your imagination if you're not drawing from the real life. Or it could be not just from the photos, again, still lifes, movie shots. Because again, I guess the healthiest way to see or to look at references is they are additional layer for your brain to imagine specific things. I guess we need to, as artists, we need to use references not just for the sake of tracing from them, but instead analyzing from them and taking the information needed to create something on our own. And of course you need to learn how to do this. It's not that simple. Okay, now dynamic looks better, but again, I definitely think that by adding this thing in here, it's not going to work, because I don't know. I don't think it is going to work. And also, what I'm starting to see is, I think we need to make this one a little bit like this. Definitely. Oh, definitely. Cool. Because again, suggesting the knuckles. Adjusting the curvature, make it a little bit smoother. Transition. Cool. Yeah, it's completely different look. Again, adding a slight dynamic in here changes everything in the look, which is super cool. Huh? I'm still going to talk how to properly visualize things and what to consider in later projects, and also soon I will start on YouTube specific series of videos that will talk about these things in much more broader way, I guess. Perky. We have 5 minutes or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if maybe we just need to extend this one and that's it. Not going to add any separation in there. So I don't think that adding this separation is going to work here. It doesn't work with this part. By adding one side and just smoothing it out, actually could work. Again, every part needs to relate to other part. I'm not just placing them randomly, I'm thinking why this part needs to be here and how it's going to relate to other part of the design. And they need to coexist. Because if I would add something like this in here, it would definitely be a strange thing, because now we don't have that type of design elements in here, and it's just too striking we don't need to attract attention to this part. But still we need to connect this part with this part somehow. I think by adding this thing could work. Yeah, design of the thumb is definitely going to be a little bit different. Okay. So the last thing is to decide, should we need to put these elements in here? I think yeah, let's put, why not? They're actually going to work here pretty good. Question. I now starting to realize that I added additional phalange in this finger that we don't have. So this is why I hate this finger. It's annoying. No, actually not. I don't edit additional phalange because like this thing is actually needs to be connected right here. And this is the finger itself. Maybe I need to actually suggest this thing in here. Why not? That actually will make things look a little bit better. Oh yeah, let's just keep it because it's definitely something that we need to add here. Sticking to the real finger. Kind of works. Cool. So yeah, let's just continue our path. So yeah, there's not going to be a line here, or at least it's not going to be super evident. It's just only one line in here. Actually, in reality, it looks a little bit differently. It goes in here, and then it goes in here, but it's definitely not going to look cool. Or maybe it is. Yeah, let's just slightly change its direction to add a little bit more dynamic. It's still going to work though. We actually will create a little bit of asymmetry, and for the thumb, asymmetry is the thing, because this finger is completely asymmetrical. It doesn't have almost any symmetry in it. So yeah, smaller here, bigger here. And making these things a little bit smaller. Not that small. Oh no, we got out of time. But I kinda almost finished, so it was just extend stream probably in about like 10-15 minutes, I guess. Where our timer? 45. Now timer has changed. Nope, not changed. Now it's changed. I definitely will manage to finish in approximately 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. So, what's next though? adding these things in here. Yeah. We kind of already have a shape in here, so let's just subtract instead of add, because if we're going to add, it's not going to work. Let's just subtract instead. No, this is adding. And this is the whole thing about sculpting. Adding, subtracting, adding, subtracting. You just need to learn how to make the right decisions, what to add and where to add, and what to subtract and where to subtract. As simple as that. That's why sculpting for me is so intuitive thing. Again, maybe it's just me. Okay, kind of works. Okay, double wedge in here, or I don't know how you properly call it in English. Oh. These are together. And the last thing is the end of the finger, suggesting something close to the fingernail, but not. I think we could go with, no, actually right here with subtraction wouldn't work. We need to add. Or I don't know, part of this design screams for adding, part for subtracting. Let's just add, and if something is going to be too big, I will just move it. Because right here we definitely need adding, but in here actually subtracting. And if we're trying to go to both ways, it's not going to look good. Yeah, the one thing about sculpting, I guess, that I learned so far is by making decisions, or at least one of the decision-making things that could help you is decide what you're going to do with this form. Are you going to add, or are you going to subtract? Or are you going to push, or you're going to pull? So again, pushing, pulling. And especially it works when you're working with the sketching. With details, of course, they're a much easier thing. But when you're sketching something from the ground up, then, of course, these questions are pretty relevant. So for instance, you're starting with a sphere as your basic shape. And for instance, I created this transformer just for the sphere. I created a sphere in here, and then I just basically pulled out legs, pulled out hands, head, and then I've just basically moved things around with the move brush, shape it up, and then slowly go into details. Again, you can see the whole progress on my Twitch channel. Uploaded videos. Yeah, I kind of like how this design looks in here. It actually looks pretty sick. Oh, no. Wait a minute. It's too asymmetrical in here, I think. Yeah, we have too big thing in here. We can even make it a little smaller. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, now it looks better. Oh no. Oh no. What was that? looks so broken though. And yeah, let's just, I don't know, maybe I need to pull this one. Because they are slightly out. Yeah, I guess I am. I'm going to keep it like this. And the last thing that we need to do is to put these strange things in here. Again, the only purpose for them is to create a variety and put some type of a texture suggestion in here. And actually it could work even functionally. For instance, it could result in a better grab. For instance, if Transformer is going to grab something, it will work like, I don't know, like some type of, I don't know, maybe it will result in suction. Let's create some type of a suction and or just overall will create a better grab. And since they are, oh yeah, this is a pretty interesting place to get into. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Careful, careful, careful. We need to get there from this small... Let's just turn off perspective though. By the way, all of this time I'm working with turned on perspective, which usually you don't work with ZBrush when you turn on perspective. But actually working with perspective a little bit, usually much more realistic, of course. Now you see things with slight, how do you call it? Forgot the word. With slight distortion. Yeah, remembered. Okay, so far things look cool. Still, and the cool thing is, again, the last thing that I need to do in here is just to finish on the fingers. Now, since I kind of finished almost the whole design, next thing that we're going to do is to create a bumps in here. So we definitely need to create more imposing feeling. Right now, we're pretty far from what it's here. We need to push it a little bit higher. That way neck is going to be hidden and it will create like psychologically much more imposing feeling. So again, as I talked previously, if a person actually hides his or her neck, it means that, like, this could be mean two things. The person is cold and they just wearing a turtleneck sweater to not freeze to death, and the second reason is they are hiding something, or they're uncomfortable, or they're just insecure or whatever. So and also it works to create some type of intimidation, because neck is the most vulnerable place in the human's body usually, and by covering neck, you creating a specific visual trigger that the viewer's brain just like picks up right away, and the rest is just reacting to this. how the viewer will react on this. It depends how you will depict it. So basically, you need to know what you wanted to say by this visual cue. You want for the viewer to feel to this character a particular feeling, then make it specific way for the viewer to feel this way. Oh no, again I'm lost in rotation. Lost in rotation. We need a movie like this, Lost in Rotation. Oh no, I actually forgot to create the inner side. Just create an inner side in here too. Well, that's not going to be an easy thing to do because we don't have access to this. Okay, let's see how it looks. Okay, it looks fine. It looks fine. And something, nope, something like this in here. Cool. So yeah, kind of getting towards the end. I finished what I set out to do, which is a cool thing. Previous 2 sessions were pretty hard because I was panicking. I didn't know where to go in this design, and I'm glad that eventually I solved this problem, which is an awesome thing to do when you're having a problem where you don't know how to solve it, and then you're pushing until you find a way how to solve it. So this is pretty cool. So overall, I like how it looks. It still needs to go through a little bit of detailing, I think, to suggest particular transitions better. For instance, like these ones. But all in all, kind of like how this design looks overall. The rest things that I didn't do here, I will make them happen in 2D. Because yeah, we're going to redraw all these things in 2D with different poses, with different positions, and slightly redesign them in 2D. So this is definitely going to be an interesting thing. And also we need to mirror all things that we've done with the right side to the left. For that we need to work with with Z-remesher. Yeah, put it in subdivision mode. So yeah, we will do this on later stages after we will finish the final design. So for now it looks pretty cool. I like how the hand looks from almost all angles. It looks pretty human-like, and at the same time not human-like, which was the whole purpose of doing this, to suggest human-like feeling, but at the same time make it alien. Alright. Yeah, kinda works. Cool. Super. It's always cool when you are actually happy with what you've done. Not getting too far into the perfectionism and actually liking what you've done so far. It's always a good thing. Because when you're ending your session with complete hesitation towards your work, it's not a very good thing. So yeah, on that note, oh come on, how many saves I need to do? We will shortly end the session. Again, I will continue to work on this illustration next. We still need to finish this sculpt to its final stage. But again, like, this is the example how these poses of the transformers are going to look. So every transformer is going to hold a sword. Transformers' heads are going to be placed. Transformers' heads are going to be placed as a stools on which Angry Birds are sitting on or standing. Quintessa is going to be under the table. Also, it's not depicted on this sketch, but we also are going to have a lot of garbage piles right here in this angle, right here, and a little bit far there, that are going to be designed from Transformers body parts. That's one of the reasons why I needed to design this transformer, because all these body parts I will use to create garbage piles from them. And actually it's going to be pretty interesting, because so far I created this design as a cohesive unit and I didn't saw it like separately, but now I need to basically reverse engineer this transformer, break it down in my head in order to separate particular details from it and depict it in these garbage piles. This is definitely going to be an awesome thing to do. I'm actually interested if I actually can do this or not. We'll see. So yeah, I guess on that note we will end this session. Yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for being here, have a nice day or night, and see you in the next part. Bye bye.